I woke up with this song in my head. The Eastern world, it is exploding, violence flaring, bullets loading. You're old enough to kill, but not for voting. You don't believe in war, but what's that gun you're toting? And even the Jordan River has bodies floating. But you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. No extra charge for that. Some time ago, a family member asked me if I thought we were living in the worst of times. And I responded with my recollections of the 1960s, a decade of civil rights struggles, the Vietnam War, multiple assassinations. The song that I just offered you was written in the mid-60s, 64 and 65, and it gives you an idea of what it was like. But then I thought of other generations, such as my parents in the 1940s, and what they experienced in the World War II era. And then later I thought of the people who lived in Greece in the 40s, who went through not only World War II, but then went through a civil war in Greece. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of disbelief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. And we had everything before us, and we had nothing before us. And we were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. Somebody's nodding his head. This is from Charles Dickens, and it describes another era. When was that era? Almost 2 centuries ago, the French Revolution. But you tell me over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. But it seems to me that every generation has its eve of destruction. Now, these days are indeed troubled times, perhaps more so than ever before, because the weapons of war have grown so more capable of destruction. And I will confess to you that I've stopped watching and reading the news almost completely because I just can't take it. But I take comfort in the words of Father Alexander Men, who was a Russian Orthodox priest of the 20th century, a martyr, by the way. He said that Christianity is a religion with a happy ending. Science presents many scary scenarios, he said. Now I'm quoting. There are many arguments in science to show that the world will incinerate, or freeze, or disintegrate, or that mankind will be obliterated by epidemics. Not only are there no guarantees of a glorious future, but on the contrary, there's much to contradict this. But Christianity affirms that the best lies ahead. And we see this. We see this in the Bible's final book, the book of Revelation. The powers of good and evil engage in mortal combat. The Revelation says war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. And there are plagues, and there are beasts, and there's rampant destruction. The struggles are terrifying, but they have a happy ending. The last 2 chapters of Revelation, last 2 chapters of the Bible, are among the most beautiful. They describe the happy ending. Among things they say is, look, God's dwelling place is now among the people. He will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there'll be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain. Or just a few minutes ago, we read from the prophecy of Ezekiel. Now, if anything, it appears that this is a story about the day after the eve of destruction. So the Lord transported Ezekiel to this isolated area filled with dead man's bones. This is the stuff of horror movies. Bones everywhere, no sign of life anywhere. And God asks Ezekiel, "Son of man, can these bones live?" So Ezekiel responds cautiously, saying that God knew the answer better than he did. God then told Ezekiel to speak to the bones, telling them that God would give them life. And so it happened. The bones took on flesh and came back to life. And God said, "You, my people, will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them. And I will put my spirit in you, and you will live. And I will settle you in your own land." There's a happy ending. On the cross, the Lord said something that was very puzzling. my God, why have you forsaken me?" So why would Jesus say something like that? Probably he was quoting from Psalm 21 or 22, depending on whose version of the Bible you're using. "Oh God, my God, hear me, why have you forsaken me?" And if you read this psalm, it describes humanity's struggle. And some parts are awful, but it too has a happy ending. It says that all the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord, for the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the master of the Gentiles. And my soul lives with him, and my seed shall serve him, and they will declare his righteousness to a people who will be born, because the Lord made them. A happy ending. A professor of mine years ago described the world today by saying, we live in the meantime. We live in the meantime, okay? The time until the restoration of the world. In the meantime, until the restoration of the world. But he says we also live in a mean time. A scary time with lots of struggles. And as Christians, we're called in faith to a happy ending. But until then, we're called to live as fountains of kindness in the world. To give you some examples. On his cross, pierced by nails, bruised by beatings, ridiculed by his adversaries, the Lord prayed for his executioners. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." A few decades later, imitating the Lord, St. Stephen, while being pummeled with rocks from head to toe, prayed for his executioners. St. Paraskevi, who we can just see her shadow now in the dark, St. Paraskevi healed the blindness of one of her executioners. Hot oil, he had tried to put her in boiling oil or hot oil, intending to burn her, but some of the hot oil splashed into his eyes and blinded him. And St. Paraskevi prayed for his healing. And we believe that's how she's become known as the patron for people who have eye problems. St. Polycarp of Smyrna, a second century bishop and martyr, insisted that the soldiers who came to arrest him be fed before they took him away. Or then there's St. Dionysius of Zakynthos, a 16th century bishop and monk, who sheltered the man who was running away from a posse. And what had the man done? He'd killed Dionysius' brother. And he knew it. And he hid him. And when the posse came, he said, he went that way when he was hiding him. So when and how the eve of destruction comes, I don't know. What I do know is that in all times, in all places, in all circumstances, we are called to become children of the light and of the day. So this epitaphion that you see before you, the symbolic tomb of Christ, is covered with flowers. A tomb is a place for dead bodies. But from this tomb, we receive life. So receiving a flower from this tomb is symbolic. We accept the flower's beauty while acknowledging its source lies in the suffering that preceded it. So I just want to end with the words that God told Ezekiel, "You, my people, will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them, and I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. May this be a blessed holiday for you. Kali Anastasi, Kalo Pascha. It's a joy to pray with you. God watch over each and every one of you.